You're listening to Life Check Yourself with life coach, transformational leader, and dating and relationship badass, Marni Batista. Every week, you'll get the raw truth from top experts and real people on the important life and love issues you want to know about. So if you're ready to life check yourself in your relationships, your career, and the areas of your life that matter most to you, and you're not afraid to be called out on your stuff, then you're ready for what's next.
Life Check Yourself with Chris Gillis. Can it work if he doesn't speak your love language? Welcome, ladies. We are here. I am back in LA. Super exciting to be on the West Coast. My daughter would say West Coast, Best Coast. But I don't know. Now that I've been on all coasts, I think they're all pretty amazing. But here's Chris Gillis. Saying to him on my 6-hour flight here, I went so deep into Bachelor Nation. And I'm really excited to talk about Bachelor in Paradise, the double whammy that was so full of so many things that had nothing to do with Bachelor in Paradise. Yet there are so many nuggets. So what just overall, Chris,
yes.
What do you think? Yeah, like, if you were going to say, like, what's your biggest takeaway? Like, what do we learn from this show about dating with all the messes that are unfolding? Do you have one that really stood out? We can just start with that.
Well, first of all, I want to say it's so good to have you back. You're so close, but yet so far. Yeah, we are only a few miles away.
We're going to see each other
now. Yeah, we are. I know.
Yeah.
We almost should have done this together in person, but all good. And I can feel your energy vibrating. So good to, yay, Marn's back. And by the way, and I think in full disclosure, you should let everybody know, you, my dear, did a crazy high school style deep dive into the world of reality TV. So if to the listeners, if she comes off like, whoa, she got her PhD, she knows some shit. She's been behind the scenes hanging with the wizard behind the curtain, pulling it back. As Marni went ham yesterday on her like with all sorts of new shits come to light, as they say in The Big Lebowski, and she's ready to spill the tea to everybody. What's really going on?
But I didn't know that you can stream. I didn't know you can stream YouTube and YouTube TV on if you buy Wi-Fi on a plane. I just literally didn't know that. It was $8, and I was like, "Woo!" I did. I literally felt like a 20-year-old watching YouTube. Yeah. Also, by the way, every single Hottie McHottie has a podcast on there. You should all just listen to mine. But if you want some eye candy, Tyler Cameron has a podcast.
Really?
It's very new. Yeah, he's just so pretty. It's so boring. Their banter.
Yeah, is it it's just listening, right? So you can't see.
No. They do both. They've got a whole. Maybe one day when I land, we'll do a whole video setup. But yeah, no, it's all video. Also, but yeah, I feel like our banter is the best. If you're listening to this on YouTube or anywhere where you can give thumbs up, our fucking banter is so much better than Nick Viall and Cameron Tyler. Yeah, we have better bands. Okay, wait, we have to talk. So what's your takeaway? Okay,
let's talk. Okay, takeaway.
What's your takeaway? Your big one, your hot take.
On dating in general, or on
no on these 2 days we've got the Ashley, we've got the Michael, we've got the Genevieve who's made herself the star of the show. What's your number one, this is what people need to learn from these crazy people?
My number one is I love, and it's funny, I love sticking my head into strange places that I'm not used to, and having my mind blown. And guys, I love saying I was wrong, and like, holy smokes, I did not see that early on. For anybody who remembers from Pilot Pete's season, we did Marni and I, we did on the whole family, one of those cool tournament things on who's going to make it the farthest or whatever.
Yep.
And I was secretly, I was like, Genevieve, because she's so rad and so beautiful and all that stuff. And so my biggest takeaway is we have said it before, is guys, it doesn't matter how much makeup, judge, filters, whatever, just or how whatever genetically skin you're born into. In the end, if you're a shitty person, it's going to wear off. And that person is just like all these single supermodels. And you're like, why would you ever divorce this person? She has everything. Or billionaire guys, or, you know, the world's sexiest, whatever. Like, oh, that's so strange. Why are they alone? Because in the end, it doesn't matter because their shit starts stinking.
It doesn't matter. And you know what's funny is that, so when I was watching this Tyler Camp, I think his podcast is called Everybody But Me, and he's named it that because his cohort, like that he does it with, they're all in relationships, so it's everyone except him is in a relationship. And that guy is like quintessential pretty. And the like hour that I watched of his show, he basically just talks about he's only been broken up with except for one time recently. That guy has been dumped, and how he does like stupid shit, like completely crazy to get someone to take him back. Like, and that's the guy who you would just think is, you know, like exceptional, right? And so so I think that's a really, really important piece. The other thing is, as it relates to Genevieve and Kiara and all those different people, is one thing that we talked about this, but I really do. I also watched like an hour or two with Nick Vial. And one of the things, the way he said it, Chris, was just really great. So I'm going to borrow it from him. And this is my hot take. Do not, if your standard is that a guy needs to look and act and show up like he's obsessed with you from the beginning, if that's what you like need, right? Like, you are never going to be satisfied, because this is not a Disney movie. That is not what it looks like when someone cares for you. And it's really about like, and that was the thing that just bothered me about Genevieve as a whole, is this whole thing of like, and Shanae, like, you're not meeting my needs. And it's like, do you have healthy needs, or do you have a hole in your soul that you need constant validation of your lovability and your worthiness? And if that is your motivating factor, then you are going to be completely fucked. So speak to that.
I love that. And that's taking one aspect that I was saying and sussing it out to the real golden nugget here. Good Lord. I think, I love what you said. Yeah. Is it whose need is it? Is it we talk about wants versus needs, right? And one thing can be, oh yeah, you know, I want my guy to whatever, say, you know, give me a kiss in the morning and say, I look pretty on the way, versus I need somebody to, and I guess, so what happens if he doesn't? If he doesn't, you know, say you look cute in your new dress on the way out the door, is he gonna be like, okay, I'll have a healthy, like something you would do, Marni, it'd be like, hey, you know, you bring it up in a healthy way and say, I just want to notice, you know, what really makes me feel wonderful is this and this and this, to be acknowledged, be seen, or whatever, versus, this is what fucking got me, is the way that, for example, Genevieve, I hate to shit on you, babe, because I had a little crush on you before, and now I'm like, gross. Pull out it's Halloween, spooky season time, pull out the cross, like, stay away from me. You are so, like, remind me of so many scary girls. But the way that, Marni, you see the way that, this is what we talk about, the way that when she doesn't get, same thing with Shanae, both of them, how when they don't get what their needs or their wants are, how they freak, and they turn it, they start attacking, their claws come out, and they just start scratching and attacking the other guy till they're retreating, and they pull away. And now there's the opposite of connection. The dude's fucking trying to run the other way and get away. And then, unfortunately, what I hate to see, and this is what you see in the dating world, I think Aaron, I think we're going to touch on this a little bit there later, is he's been in this game long enough. He's just playing along just to keep, you know, it's like it's turning into like Hunger Games instead of where you're just trying to survive versus actually looking there for some real connection. So I think he's cleverly playing it. But Marni, we talk about how to react when you don't get, first of all, I guess the difference between a want and a need, where it's coming from, and then what to do if you do determine, hey, you know what, this is healthy. This is just something I really, really like, and just really I want my partner to do this. How to express that with the person you're into.
Well, this is so great, because this is why the non-negotiables that we talk about our clients need to have are so important, because those are the 5 things that are values that, your person has to have. The rest is wish list stuff, right? And so, and love language, there's an interesting thing, right? Is that is that non-negotiable, or is that actually a wish? And I think that if, for example, affection, right, or touch is something that you really need, like wrapping that into your non-negotiables would probably be a wise thing, right? Like, so that would be like words and actions match consistently, meaning that this guy shows me in the way that I need that he is who he says he is, that he loves me, that he cares for me. And so that being, for example, in Genevieve's case, and Justin says, like, what are we counting kisses now? Which I thought was kind of fair, because the way she attacked it was so vicious. So a healthy way is to say, and by the way, not after you've been dating for like 2 days, just so you know, just put that in context, is, I really love like spending time with you. And I know that you really care about me, but my love language is like physical touch. So I'm wondering, like, how could we do that to where you're more mindful of being affectionate? And then having a conversation, like, well, I noticed that when we're in public, you're not super affectionate. What is that about for you? And he might say, oh, like I didn't grow up with that, or I feel, and then you're having a conversation. Because if you are counting kisses or counting anything, right? Like, like you did the dishes 4 times and I did it 3 times. And then I cleaned the cat litter and you did, like, if you're counting anything in a relationship, you're fucked. Right. And so that whole skill is 100% missing from Genevieve's like partnership toolkit. And so I think there's so again, that's why I always say, like, it's like a funnel, right? So like, if you do this with intention, you have those non-negotiables, everything else is on the wish list. Typically, like, there's something in those non-negotiables around communication, problem solving, something, right, that allows you to work on those things on the wish list. Because remember, 69% of the problems that couples have are what the Gottman Institute calls perpetual problems, things that they will be revisiting over and over and over again. So you might constantly be revisiting physical touch over and over and over again. So what do you, so for you and Dr. Emily, do you have like anything that's on the wish list that you guys work on, like the needs versus wants thing? Like what's an example of that in your situation?
So it's funny you asked me that, because I'm going to sound a little bit like a hypocrite, but it's good because I think it's a little bit different. So similar to Genevieve or Shanae or whatever, I like words of affirmation or being acknowledged for some of the little things that she's like, no big deal. For example, we had a talk about yesterday, and I love, by the way, that what you said, I think it's important to just point out, if it would have been easy, it's easy for me. I'll just speak for myself. It's easy for me to pull a Genevieve or a Shanae, and when I'm not getting what I want, to completely, instead of exploring and being like, what's going on here, and being okay and sitting with it, to attack the other person and make, use some global statements. Oh, you're never this, or you're never that. Or for example, it's, if it's noticing something or appreciating, taking out the cat litter all the times or whatever. And maybe I just want a little gold star in the relationship for it. It's so easy for me, for example, to use sarcasm, right? And then clap back and say some smart ass thing, and sarcasm, right? That protects me, for example, just from having to be vulnerable, and instead of, say something, quick and witted, and with a slithered, fork tongue, and bam, kind of slap her, and in a way that's me expressing my desire and my need, but it's wrapped up in just a gnarly little pitchfork that just pokes the person and causes them to recoil, right? And then we end up, going around this. It's blame.
Let me just interject, because what you just described, I really want to just point that out, because some people like move away, like shut down completely. Some overfunction, some run away, and some attack.
Yeah.
Right. So I just really want everyone to know, like, if that's you, like, or it's
Yeah.
not. You just know that everyone, when they get the bear gets poked, there's different ways. And some of them fight their own shame
Right.
or their own stuff through blame. So go ahead. So
Right.
that's your
For
thing.
sure.
You're like the little snake.
For sure. And that's, I was brought up around, that's all we knew. It was never vulnerability. It's saying what you really want. It was just saying something nasty, some backhanded compliment, some just that provides like a little buffer and a barrier. And it's never truly, the irony of it is shocker. The wish never gets fulfilled because I end up battling and swinging bats at each other instead. And fighting because the other person, maybe I did something so mean or so cruel to the other person. In this case, my litany of partners, not just Dr. Emily, but I've done this for years and years. And to really try to uncover that and to bring out our favorite V word, to have the vulnerability and to instead of doing like what you said, is, hey, can we talk about, whatever, maybe when I take out the cat litter and I've asked you before how it makes me, feel so good. Just a little pat on the head or kiss on the cheek. I'm just using this as a made up example, but how much, that would really do. Is there a reason? Yeah. What are the reasons that are, why, you're not, not congratulating me or doing my little thing that makes it, and then she can get real too. And in this case, she also, just like I was growing up in the silver fork tongue place, she didn't get a family that did dole out compliments for the little thing. It was only the big things. And yeah, dude. Yeah. And we made a good discussion yesterday. She's like, I'm there to cheer you on in the World Series. I didn't know you wanted the batting cages. And I'm like, I actually need it in the batting cages when I'm practicing, because otherwise, when I get up to the World Series, when I hear you, and I hear the noise, I assume it's booing and not cheering. And I don't handle it correctly because I'm so not well versed in it. But it's those little things, those little moments that mean a lot to me. It's the golden rule versus a platinum rule. The platinum rule being, will treat the other person the way that they want to be treated, not the way that I want to be treated. And
that's so brilliant. Yeah. That's so good. And I think, and that's really important. I'm the same way. Like my husband, Jeremy, will say like, well done when I do something amazing. That's like, not obviously amazing, but like, I achieved something, right? I have an accomplishment. And I'm like, can you just, and I say this, I'm like, I need you to say that I'm like the best wife ever. Cause like, I make these like amazing meals for you, even though I'm working and like, da, da, da. And then he'll be like, you are, and he'll say it sincerely, but I don't think like, oh, you're an asshole because you're not saying it. I just keep reminding like, because he's not thinking like that. He doesn't need that. He didn't grow up with that, and he's all in his own head about his own stuff. Right. So I think what I want people to really hear this is that two things. One is that if you're beginning to date someone and they're not showing up perfect, right? Like, and they're not obsessed with you and they're not complimenting you and they're not like, doing everything perfect at the beginning, like every single moment. Understand that that's not realistic, number one. And number two is, as you're starting to get to know someone, train the person you're with on how you want to be treated, right? That platinum rule, like, because the right guy is like, and you've talked about this all the time about like, if you had a manual and you're like, so here's my playbook, like a guy would want it because he just wants to make you happy, because nobody wants strife. We just want to hang and have fun and be with our person. So I think understanding that it's appropriate, and that if you have a belief that like a guy should just know what you want and then deliver, that is completely childish, and it is not true.
What if we had a dating with dignity island instead, where everybody, when they're meeting each other and they're not being looked at or touched enough or whatever, and they have those conversations like that? What would that even look like? How different?
I know, it would be so emotionally intelligent island. Okay, let's talk about and this is really interesting. Sierra and Michael A. So, Michael A., if you have not been watching, and if you don't watch, it doesn't matter, because this is just any guy with kids. But this is a situation where he's had kids, but also his wife has died, and he's come on this dating show, and he removed himself from the Bachelor season, Bachelorette, because his son missed him and he wanted to go to see the son. Now he's on this season of Bachelor in Paradise. He's got a connection with a woman. And he ultimately just says, you know, like, this is going really fast and we need to be friends. And she is like, and she's just bought him like a constellation of like 3 stars, you know, which is so that, you know, like he can always know that wherever they are in the world, there's people, which is very thoughtful. So here's what I want to talk about this. So I really paid attention to your episode because I didn't take it like this until he brought it up, and I wanted to see what you thought, Chris. I was sort of like, this guy's emotionally unavailable. What's going on? Why couldn't he just say, hey, this is moving too fast? Like, what would it look like to slow down? Blah, 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 blah. Nick Viall, his take was he is just not that into her. And the moment that because she was coming in so hot and heavy and fast that it freaked him out. And he wasn't sure at that point if even she was someone he wanted to date long term, that it completely freaked him out. And he was just like, oh my God, I'm not there. I don't even know if you're my person. So let's just end it. So do you think that because she was future pacing so aggressively, that was a bad move and it caused him to go back? Or was she just meeting his energy because he was being so vulnerable?
Dude, thank you. I 100%, and I rarely use that strong term, put responsibility on Michael on this one. And yes, he had something. Dude. All right. So he was speaking he slammed his goddamn foot down on the vulnerability pedal, which is I've told you I've had friends do this, and it's a bullshit cheat code, and it's all true with him as far as, you know, is his history and this tragic loss of his wife. But he went there and he got metaphorically, emotionally buck naked on day one and just took her straight to the emotional boom boom room, dude. And so, you know what, bro? And then she's standing there, she's getting naked too, and it fucking bugs me that he had the balls to be like, whoa, what are you doing there? You know, all exposed, and you know, and thinking that I want to go and be vulnerable and these advanced high level relationship feelings with, and he pulled out, and I thought that was total. That was total bullshit. I thought he was playing it off on them, because I do agree with Nick Viall. I think he wasn't that into her. I just wonder how many times, has he used this? Has he shown this? And it's a guys, you know, with great power comes great responsibility. For those who all have discovered how, you know, being vulnerable and talking about crystals or astrology. I know a lot of you girls have been wooed into this. When the dudes, they get there and they're speaking your fucking, you know, your Valerian Game of Thrones language with total fluency. You're like, oh my God, he's so emotionally available. And then all of a sudden, get ya.
Yeah. So here's what's interesting too. And we've never talked about this. And, you know, I just binge watched like 2 seasons of F-Boy Island. And so the other thing that Nick was saying was that is a quintessential F-Boy move. Totally. Right? Like 100%. I totally talk your Game of Thrones Valerian language, and you're like, and then you're open, right? And so like, this is really interesting. Is Michael like, I don't think he's an F-boy because he can't handle it. Right. But it's almost like he's got F-boy moves, but because he's just like he wants to make this emotional connection so fast because he's so hungry for it. The other thing is, I had a client once briefly who lost a child, and that's how she led, like with everything. Like this is like, hi, you know, I'm Jane, like, you know, my kid, blah, 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 blah. And it was so tragic, right? But it made it wasn't like a way to lead, like the get to know me sort of conversation, whether it was with a group of friends or guys or whatever, you know, like. And so it's like, how can you own that as your past? And also, if you're ready to move forward, not throw that around, right? Because I think this speaks to the bigger sort of tool that we have at Dating with Dignity, which is like, you know, like cautiously optimistic, right? Like if a guy opens up to you about all this deep shit, like on date 1 or date 2, and you feel, and that's how I ended up falling in love with my first husband. Literally, like on our first date, he told me his dad died, his brother died, I literally like, that was so my thing. Like, I'm gonna heal you. I'm gonna be like, I was just all over that shit. If you're like attracted to that, if you're making that mean that this person wants to be with you forever, like, slow your roll, cautiously optimistic. You're looking for non-negotiables. And I think Michael A went too far. And I also think that Sierra like completely could have slowed that pace down a lot. And I think the person that ends up with Michael A is going to slow that pace down really, really, really slow and be okay with that pace.
You're going to have to. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. You're going to have to. And I think in the end, I think with the takeaway of this, to kind of tie in like with Genevieve and with your ex-husband and Michael A and, all of us, is it on dating, right? You see them walk into the island. It's like when, everybody is listening. When you walk into a bar, what do you want? You want to be seen, and then you want to be listened to, and you want to receive that person's energy and that attention. So Michael A has this amazing, this hero's journey that's fucking riveting. It's absolutely. So what are you going to do? Shut up. This story's interesting. You're going to lean in there and you're going to give that person all their attention. Sometimes, Genevieve's, story is, I'm really beautiful and blah, blah, blah. And so and then she's freaking the fuck out when she doesn't get that person to lean in and like, okay, pop the popcorn, let me tell you, oh my God, it's all about you, all about you, all about you. And and I think unfortunately, because Mark, he's gone through that great thing. And it's one of those, we talked about it, one of those, it's a completely a reasonable, it's acceptable story to share at the right time and with the right person and in healthy doses, guys. So for those of you out there who have this, amazing heroine journey, and you've gone through things with your child or whatever it is going through, just to really, IV drip it and not fucking mainline it. On that
exactly.
First date.
Don't make that be your identity, because it's not your identity, right? You're more than your story. You're definitely more than your story. Now, the other thing I just want to talk about here, because I think this is really super important, because I always like to do the John Madden, post, let's watch the replay. I also think Sierra could have handled that completely different rather than just bailing. Now, I'm going to parentheses this because in my deep dive, which we can talk about this on another show, is how everything is so highly produced. My understanding from what I learned in 6 hours of research is that they sort of set it up to where this person needs to exit, and they encourage that person to just bail because they want more people on the beach. They want to create another situation. They want to have less guys. They want to have they want to create the show, right? So they weren't like, oh, please stay. Whereas with Teddy, when she broke up with Andrew, they wanted her to stay. And that was the controversy. If you're into any of the stuff where she just was like, I'm not playing your game, I'm leaving. I'm not here to do what you want to do. So, but since we want to make this real, I think if you were dating someone, and let's say that on Bachelor in Paradise, because you're spending 24/7 together for, a week or 2 weeks, let's say it's the equivalent of 2 months together, which is fair, right? And the guy's like, whoa, this is going too fast. I think we should be friends. I think she could have used my Ryan Seacrest line. Well, what do you mean by that exactly? Right? What does being friends look like? In what way are you feeling overwhelmed? Right? She could have dug into it. Is it that this relationship is moving too fast? Is it that you're not sure if we're the right match and therefore you want to hit the pause button because we're just probably not well suited? I really want to know what's going on. And so what I think what happens is that when somebody says something to us because of that love shield, we either if she was the blamer, she could have said put out her little serpent tongue and been like, what are you doing? I can't believe you led me on, right? She was sort of right. She was more of the, oh my God, I just want you to be happy. She was the let me not have any agency for myself person. But then she's also avoidant. probably. And so she bailed, right? Or maybe the producers asked her to bail. We don't know, but let's pretend she bailed because that's what someone would do. Like delete, block, effing him, like I'm not going to be in for that. And I just think in real life, if you spent that much time with someone, it's worthy of asking deeper questions and trying to like feel your disappointment, feel your sadness, bring your like executive function, adult self back online. You're not the little girl that didn't get what you need from caregivers, and be like, wow, this is surprising. I'm not going to lie. I'm like really sad. I'm so confused. What is it? What do you mean exactly? Like be friends, right? And that's what I wish would have happened for her, is the ability to have that conversation. I'm always about the conversation.
What about with the gals out there, listeners, if they're dating a guy and they can tell he is, an emotional, like I said, like mainliner, just straight in the IV, and they're like, oh, and she's like, whoa, and you just know this pace is moving really fast, and or maybe this conversation, these early dates are all about listening, trying to fix this guy, and you're like, man, this guy, hey, he needs therapy more than me right now.
Right, exactly.
How can, especially Marni, when it's around, say, a sensitive topic about losing a child or something like that, and the dude is just raw at it, and he's using the woman, which a lot of us guys do, because because we can't talk about it with our bros. Like, well, this girl, I've got her undivided attention because I'm buying her dinner or whatever, so she's going to sit there and listen to me. How can a gal get them to tamp down and tap the brake a little bit in this, instead of going a million miles an hour, and make it, because I got the sense, of course it could be editing, that Michael, I don't know anything about this Sierra chick, nothing at all. I know nothing.
No.
I don't know how much he knew. It's like she was lying down on his proverbial therapy couch, and she was just sitting there listening and loving and doing all these things, giving those beautiful feminine energy that she can do. So how can the gals, what should they look out for, and what kind of agency can they take to steer it and control the pacing of their dating?
I think it's like, like I'm really like on the beginning when he was like, wow, this is really hard for me, and then there's like, he's crying and she's crying, and be like, I think I would say like, wow, it sounds like you're really raw still. Like, tell me like what is going on for you inside that tells you you're ready to start dating.
Oh, yeah. Yikes.
What would it look like? Do you, like, what's it going to take for you to feel like you can create like the in your life? Like, I think asking those kinds of questions show that like you're compassionate, but also you're curious, because remember, when you have those non-negotiables, you want to find out there's some version of emotionally available, ready to be in a relationship, right? And so that's your job on the date, is to like suss that out, not be like, oh my God, he's like amazing, he's so emotionally aware. Like I feel like, because that was my prototype, was like, I will come in, I will fix you, I will reform you, I will get you to like love me, I will I will reform the F-boy, which never possible.
Yeah, and I told you, hold on real quick, I told you, Marni, remember my first date with my with my now ex for 7 years that we spent, took her to a pizza place. Remember I told you, she bawled and sobbed and cried, and I spent the entire session as her therapist, just listening to her
session.
Anguish.
You called the date the session.
Yeah, the session. And remember, I told you I got up and she wanted to use the bathroom, and I looked at the door, looked at the bathroom, looked at the door. I was like, I need to leave. And I froze, because I didn't know what to do. I also, I didn't, I wasn't as far along as where I was. I didn't know how to tamp. It was going so fast and so scary, and it wasn't about me. And it was that, like you said, that emotional black hole void. I'm like, holy shit, am I about to inherit this? It's a real thing. It's scary when you're on those dates with those people, because I got a big heart, and I know a lot of you gals do too.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I think it's not about leaving. It's about like setting those boundaries by asking really, really good questions, because you want to find out if someone is ready. Okay. We have to talk about two things before we go in the next 10 minutes. And one is just so simple, but it's like when you're on the Peter Pizza date. So Peter Pizza is this guy. Like, I do think he has a good heart. I think he's just like ignorant. Like, I just think like he just doesn't know how to show up, and he thinks that women are he's a guy who like read all the pickup artist,
Jeez
you know,
Louise.
material, and thought that women like a guy who's like rich and, you know, and he's just got it all wrong. So he's leading with the wrong things. But what do you do when you're on a date and you know that this is so not your person, so that you don't have to have the moment which Brittany has, which is where he leans in to kiss her and she has to swerve, which she's done twice. Good for her. But what is it that Brittany could do in the future so that she doesn't even have to have that awkward moment, right? Right? Like, how can you be like, read the room, you know, like, and maybe Peter Pizza just doesn't get it. And that's happened too. I remember being on a date one time. We actually went out for Italian food. And then we were sitting on this beach and the guy went and kissed me and I was like, whoa, you know, and I was like, to this day, I'm like, God, why did I kiss him? Like, that was just so gross. Like, I wasn't into it at all. So bad kissing someone you don't like. Anyway, I think. But I think it's about, like, if you're on a date and it's clearly not going well, that you don't owe them anything, even if they bought you dinner. Right.
But I also think, so yeah, you asked the question, is your question like, what can you do to avoid going on a date with that person at all? Because that no. When you're on the date and you're like, this is not going well. This guy's really into me. I don't want it to, I want it to be over. How do you authentically get out of that date without like also sabotaging? Because, and by the way, this is like, only use this skill, this tool, whatever it is that we tell you now, if you actually know that you're not a self-sabotager. Because this is a very powerful, right? Because you could just get out of anything that feels uncomfortable. We all make up reasons why people aren't our person. So this is like an advanced move. Don't use it as a way to just get out of any sort of like someone who likes you. What do you think? Like, what would someone say on a date that you would just be like, oh, this isn't going well. We're friends. Let's just make the best of it. You clearly got a way better answer than me. So I'm waiting to hear what you say. But I would say, she's the way she's setting me up, guys. But no, I think that what I would say is, God, is just play it cool and quickly let them know that, put them in the friend zone about how great they are, and maybe maybe give them a promise about oh man, explain why you guys are friends, and what's maybe why not compatible, or maybe why you're not the right person for him, but how there's something, how you know somebody, give him hope, right? Give him hope. Maybe you got somebody who you think you'd be perfect for, and you can't wait to tell your friend about it. Why would you pass that? No. But don't actually do it. Don't actually do it. No, just keep him from going psycho on you.
But that's not authentic.
And then you can give him that buongiorno, kiss him goodbye.
Well, I like friend zoning. I think that's the best way to do it. So I also went on a really horrible date once in Venice at the ale house. And this guy started showing me pictures of his cat that could sit up, his cat videos. And I was just like, wow. And so I just totally went into the friend zone. Like, I just became oh my God, he was like obsessed with his cat. Like, his cat could sit up like a person. He had all these videos of his cat sitting like a human. It was so bizarre. Anyway, if you're listening, bless you. I hope you and your cat have a great relationship. But I think it's friend zone and being direct. Like, you're obviously really into blah, blah, blah. Like, it's almost like turning on a little bit of the masculine energy. Yeah. Like calling, like, bro, no way. Like, in your own way, like being like a friend, right? Like Brittany could have been like, you have a yacht? No way. Like, oh my God, what's a yacht like? So like who goes on the yacht with you? Like, instead of being like, oh, just like really kind of going, like, talking business. She could have totally talked business to Peter Pizza. Oh my God, really? Tell me your story. How did you do that? Like, how do you handle like management problems? What was your biggest like problem when you were franchising it? Did you right? Like, just change the energy completely to like your work self, your friend self, and then just literally be like, wow, it's so like, and be playful. So clear we're not a romantic match, but like, this has just been so much fun. I've really enjoyed getting to learn. Your cat's hilarious. You're like, obviously so funny. Like, I wish you the best of luck, and like just ending it like that, or just saying that in the middle. Right.
You know what?
And then
I love that.
Clear.
Yeah, nothing tells a guy more that you're not interested in when you call him dude. So if you can drop in the dude, your cat video is so cool. Oh, dude, you have a yacht. Dude, that's dope.
Right.
It's going to change the way he sees you. And then our brains are like, oh, he's becoming my bro. And I think that would completely get a bone softener and our brains will stop going there.
And if you're not a person who says dude or bro or whatever, what is your word? Like, what would you say to your girlfriends, you know, and be like, no way, right? Like, that's insane, right? Like, just bring that, like, that friend energy. Like, how do you talk to your male friends, you know, or your kids' friends, you know?
That's
like,
a cheat code. I love that. Yeah. If I was called dude or bro, oh my goodness, I would 100% start. Hold on, what the heck is going on here? That's the way my bros. I don't want to sleep with my guy friends.
In fact, the last time I was on Ryan Seacrest, they had me date coach their producer Tanya, who's still there, and so they did a video. She went on a date and had a video of it, and I saw the video, and then I coached on it. And I can't remember, but like, the guy was, I can't remember exactly. So, and I don't know if this is online still, so I can't even check myself, but I think the guy was wearing like a roll tie. He was wearing like a college sweatshirt or some like logo shirt that she related to. And so he was sitting there and she walked in and she saw it and she was basically like a version of like, roll tide, no way, dude, Alabama. And she put her hand up for a high five. And the guy stood up and they high-fived right at the beginning of the date. She did that. She also, when the food came, she was just like, oh my God, I'm such a fatty. I can't believe I have to eat all this. Like that was like, do not do that if you want to get out of the friend zone. But those are all things you could say that would be a total turn off.
I love it. Yeah, like, oh God, this lasagna is giving me gas.
Exactly.
I'm gonna rip them. To change my underwear, bro. There you go, ladies.
Exactly.
Jeez.
So that is like how to get, so that way you don't have to like, and just say at the end, like, wow, this is fun. Thanks for dinner. You're amazing. Like, we're so obviously not a match, but like, this was a hoot. You're a lot of fun. Bye. That's it.
Yeah.
You don't have to explain it. You don't have to defend it. Thanks for dinner. You're amazing. You don't have to, owe him anything. It's just not a match, but be direct. I think Brittany was just sort of like shell shocked and he also wasn't reading the room.
Yeah.
So that's the other thing. Just like a guy needs to obviously know you're into him, he needs to obviously know you're not into him. Okay. We have time for one more. We have so many things in 4 hours of TV. I want to talk about, as the last thing, this idea of finding your right type of weird, because it's a segue perfect from this sort of date that we just described, right? Like, which is, blah. And Genevieve and Jacob is like, I just don't think Jacob is there for the right reasons. I think he's there to have fun. But he's like a Tarzan, Fabio looking dude. And Genevieve, as we've been talking about, Jill, as we've been talking about, Jill is also one of those like kind of hot messes. But they sort of are there and they're doing this like weird tantric Mexico ceremony and they get naked and it's a lot. But they're sort of like laughing all the time. And so one thing when I was watching it, with I think I was watching it with Jeremy, this part. No, I was watching it with my kids. Jeremy wasn't there. I was watching it with Chloe and Raina. And they're on the date and they're doing something sexy. I can't remember what it is. They're like in the tub or something. And he's saying something cute or romantic or whatever. And Jill makes it a joke and she just starts laughing. And it's like, there's that line of like too much.
Yeah.
It's kind of like Gabby was like so funny and like raunchy and whatever. And it's like, is that humor deflecting real intimacy? And I'm not sure if for Jack and Jill, if that they both have that same tool, like that same defense mechanism. So they're just vibing off of like, not really intimacy, but more like fun. Or are they just perfectly suited because they're both like super fun?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guess.
What do you think?
I think it's very astute of you to point out that I know men do this oftentimes, and definitely some women do. Like, oh, I'm just quirky and weird, and that's why I'm alone. And it's good. It's easy to make that excuse, right? Oh, I'm too weird for everybody, or I'm too whatever. I'm too smart. I'm too intellectual. I'm too this. I'm too that, and that's my brand. It's just to really hammer it home. But instead of being, the reality is, yeah, dude, he's like, yeah, you may be the fucking funniest person, when you're out there and hanging out with strangers and your friends. But at the end, do you want to put on that clown makeup every day? And do you really want, are you that one-sided character? Whereas, are you really Tarzan, bro? Or do you really want to, do you want to be,
yes.
Is that what you want to be? Or do you actually want to be a relationship? Because that Tarzan, I get it. That's your avatar. That's how you want the world to see you. And, you work out and do all your crunches on the beach to maintain that look. But to keep, I agree. I think it's kind of like a bullshit, silly suit that they wear. It's cool if that's what they, kind of vibe or whatever, but it'll when they're getting to know each other. But yeah, I think when it came time to show an actual who they are in the relationship, and if you're still wearing your silly monkey suit, then maybe it's time to take it off. Like, oh, okay, hold on, this person's ready to be serious. And if they can't switch gears and get out of there, and you're both wearing that clown suit, then you're like, are you really being vulnerable? Are you really going to be in a relationship? Because I don't think that's possible.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I think that, I think for Jill, she's just basically a chameleon. She's just like, oh, you're this way, I'm going to be this way. You're funny and loud and whatever, I'm going to be this way. I think Jill just doesn't really know who she is. And she's just trying to like chameleon and pretzel herself to be. And even when they're having that moment where the facilitator is like, this one is going to, you have an opportunity to do it without your clothes. I think she's sort of like, well, what do I need to do to be cool to Jacob? You know what I mean? Nick Viall thought Jacob should have been like, look, I just want to make you comfortable. What do you want to do? And the way he did it was like, well, I'm good. Are you? Like he should have put it in her court first. But I think that Jill was just sort of like, well, he's doing it, I'm going to be that person. And I don't know Jill. Maybe she would get naked easily, no problem. If you would have said, what do you want to do? Maybe she would have chosen that first. But I think the thing that we can learn from Jill is like, are you that girl who's a chameleon? Like that guy's adventurous. I'm going to try and be adventurous. That guy's nerdy. I'm going to learn. I love chess now. Like, you're just trying to be who someone wants you to be so that you can get picked. And that's not going to have a long-term win for you. And I see that in Jill.
So maybe kind of the takeaway is, because like in sales and in anything and in relationships, and it's good to, I guess, mirror someone's energy or the way they're being to a certain level. But then this isn't about selling. It's about being authentic, right? This is about
yes,
yeah. This isn't about, because it's one thing just
sales.
To get somebody, right? Because sale is cool. Yet you got them to come to your side based on something. But that's not we're talking about a long-term mutual relationship, which isn't manipulative or persuasive to get that person. Again, kind of going back to like, yes, cool. It got you to see him because now you're acting like Jane to his Tarzan. But that's not really. But then now he sees you. Now it's your opportunity to start shedding all your other interesting layers that are not going to be like your metaphorical Jacob out there, your Tarzan. Now it's the time to show maybe you are a quirky, weird board game nerd, person who likes reading. And now now give him the opportunity to start matching and mirroring your uniqueness and your Tarzan suit, whatever it may be, instead of trying to, like you said, just to replicate what he is. Because in the long term, that's unsustainable. It's actually not attractive either, because he doesn't want to be in a relationship with himself. We don't, that's boring. We already know ourselves.
Exactly. Well, it'll be interesting to see what happens with them. Who knows? We could wait. It was 4 hours of television programming. We could talk for probably 7 hours about it. But we are not like some of these podcasts that are like hours long. We are concise. We hit the highlights. We are efficient for today's working, busy professional woman like you. So whatever you do, my guess is that you resonated to at least one of these dating behaviors. So you have an opportunity to damn life check yourself and change your shit up. Christopher? I will be excited to see you on our man panel for Ignite Your Life, our 3-day virtual event, and hear your brilliance for our clients that are coming to that event. And I look forward to seeing you in person on Sunday.
And I promise not to, when we meet and I do the man panel stuff, not to do any long, year-long awkward pauses like Romeo and Karen staring into the space to make everyone's stomach cringe.
I know that was so memeable. Yes, and if you're wondering what we're talking about, just go like Twitter Romeo face. I'm sure you'll find a lot of entertaining look. All right, ladies, love you. Life check yourself. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye. Hey, thanks for tuning into today's show. So if being in an intimate relationship in which you feel 100% seen, heard, and accepted by a high caliber man is a priority for you right now, and you're interested in seeing if you're a fit for working with me and my team at Dating with Dignity, here's what I want you to do. Just head over to DWD VIP. That's D as in dating, W, D as in dating, VIP.com, and book a call to speak with my team. We'll get on the phone with you for about 60 minutes and you'll get crystal clear on what's stopping you from finding true love right now. We'll also take a look at what you want to create, what you want your whole life to look like when you're able to finally be fully expressed as a woman in a healthy relationship with an incredible guy. And if we can help you get from where you are right now to where you want to be, we will show you the fastest path possible that makes sense for you to do that. We help smart, successful women all over the world solve this one missing piece in their life so they can finally have it all. So to see if we can help you do the same thing, head over to DWDVIP.com. I'm Marni Batista, and let's talk soon.